Welcome back to Valiant Effort. I'm Nick.
I'm Ted.
And today we're driving a 2018 Dodge 2500 diesel Ram Bighorn.
Manual.
Trucks. The type of vehicle most owners never actually use for their intended purpose. For this reason, Nick and I have always had a disdain for trucks, but we've never driven the top dog of the segment. So today we enter with an open mind as we test this unicorn, last of the manuals, diesel monster.
And to start out, we're going to get on the highway from a stop in second gear. No gas,
Didn't even use
just
gas.
clutch.
Well, now we're using the gas.
We're physically incapable of recording a 20 to 60 in this truck because I don't know that any platform has a video format long enough to actually record it. We've hit 55, slowly climbing.
Just cruise along. And it's 6th.
At 65.
Oh, performance.
Yeah, so performance, the specs
Real
are
good.
overwhelming.
Yeah, the 2500, 370 horsepower, 800 pound-feet of torque.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got 800 pound-feet here.
Wow.
That's pretty damn...
That's pretty wild. So as everyone knows who's watched the Tacoma video, I don't like trucks.
Neither of us really like trucks.
I think I especially have a hatred for trucks.
Yeah, you have an intense passionate hatred
Right.
for trucks.
Right.
I think I just dislike them. But,
Right.
But and I also, there's like a bit of whimsy that came along with the Tacoma with the manual, and I was like, cool, manual in a truck. But then you pointed out, I think rightfully so, that a truck that size with that capability is almost useless.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never thought that, like, a lot of you guys don't know this yet because Teddy's about 3 weeks behind on editing the podcast, but I bought a 2014 Cayman S, and we towed it using this truck actually from the dealership because Rhode Island sucks, and
Yeah.
my registration's like 4 weeks away in the mail, and I was like, well, I'm going to have it sit in my driveway then instead of the dealership. So Tyler, the kid that lent us this truck, him and I went and picked it up. Now, the Tacoma could have done that.
Yeah.
The trailer was 2,200 pounds. The Cayman's 3,000 pounds. And, like, I didn't really think about it until I thought about, like, what I wanted to say during this review. This truck legitimately, aside from starting out in first gear, you would have never known that it was towing anything. Like, ever.
Yeah.
Like, that, I don't know, that to me is the difference. Like, this
does
it
that
has so
job.
much more capability.
Right, and it doesn't take it any effort. You're not stressing the truck. You're still going to get 20 miles to the gallon.
Right, I mean, look it up here. Oh, it's really scary to go fast. Like, you feel the
It feels so loose.
like, there's something funny with the electric steering. Not the biggest fan of it, and you'll feel what I mean.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like the ratios kind of like skip a little bit.
Oh. What it feels like from the passenger seat is that we are on top of a mattress that has wheels underneath it.
It's incredible. Like, and I've ridden in this truck with Josh probably 2 or 3 times. Nope, not Josh. I've ridden this with Tyler. That's what I wanted to catch up to.
Okay,
That's what I wanted to catch up to.
Speaking of Caymans on trailers.
That's what I wanted to catch up to.
Whoa, this is cool. Wow. Okay. Definitely take this corner slow. It's not as vague as I thought it was going to feel, but it's... Whoa. That's 800 foot-pounds of torque. I'm shifting at 2,400, too.
Yeah.
And I feel... Wow! Holy crap, that's a lot of torque. That's what I'm feeling right now. Like, I don't ever need to shift ever again. But it's just the torque rush it's weird because it's not fast, but like normally you don't put your foot down in 6th gear, and like that just there's so much to offer. I feel like I kind of like how it sounds, kind of like a like every other diesel.
Yeah, like a baby semi from inside.
Yeah, especially with this, I do think this is a novelty. And I actually think this might be one of the few cases where a manual makes sense in a truck.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were saying earlier about the Tacoma is like, yeah, okay, fine, it comes with a manual, and it is cool. Like I think so, but this actually I think adds to the usability. Maybe you could argue.
Yeah, I think kind of like the fun. Like I don't find the Tacoma to be fun to begin with. And then throw on like a subpar transmission, and it was kind of like great.
Toyota does do like their cables are real floppy for their manuals, so that's pretty standard stuff. This feels pretty crisp, actually.
It is really fun. It's like
it's like there's like a, it's kind of like a, I think I used the word before, but it's like whimsical to me. It like kind of makes me laugh. Like I'm just driving this massive truck that also has a manual transmission.
Yeah.
That's just not a thing anymore, you know? Like it's a big rig. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, we'll put a regen on auto. You can feel that.
I don't need to brake right now. I love how it sounds. I love that, like...
Oh, and then, so Tyler said,
clatter.
I know we're videoing, but if you kind of give it gas with the window down...
Oh.
You get like, way more turbo noise.
Yeah. And we can hear the Jake brake there, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Exhaust brake.
We'll put it in full.
Oh. That's actually a useful feature, though.
It is,
I think
especially in something that's going to tow.
Yeah. If you've got another 10,000 pounds behind you, I think this would be much appreciated.
Yeah.
It's even useful unloaded.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact about this that I don't think we said on camera yet, but this thing has
Torque?
Yeah. That we've said on camera. This thing in the rear, so this is the 2500, and one major difference between the 2500 and the 3500, besides the fact that the 2500 tows about 5,000 pounds less, is that this has coil springs in the back. So it's probably more comfortable than any of the competitors, at least of the time, because none of them had coils. They were all leaf spring. And the coil springs, that was kind of like Ram's claim to fame at the time. It's not something that you can shift with any degree of speed.
No,
though.
or like heel toe. Like you don't do that. Like
you don't even really rev match.
No.
Like
no, it's definitely like push the clutch in, and then once you're at the speed or like coming out of the corner, like figure out what gear you want to be in, and that's it.
800 foot-pounds of torque, an 18,000 pound towing capacity, and 20 miles per gallon. What normal human could possibly need more? If you prefer Ford or Chevy and their respective Power Stroke and Duramax diesels, fine. But we all have to admit that this Ram is wildly capable. Unsurprisingly, however, the downside of this truck, maintenance costs and reliability concerns associated with modern diesel emission controls.
We checked it out, and the towing capacity is 17,980 pounds. So as near as makes no difference.
Wow.
18,000 pounds. 18,000 pounds towing capacity, which basically means you can tow anything.
Yeah.
You can tow one of these.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that, I feel like that's what's so appealing about something like this, is that it's the best of its category.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, maybe pick another diesel, whatever. I don't think, though, to be fair, I don't think any other diesel at this time had a manual except this.
I'm not sure, but yeah, that sounds right.
I feel like this is the last one standing.
I think what's really interesting is, like, Josh paid 34, 35.
Yeah.
Tyler paid right around 40 with 9,000 miles. They get the same gas mileage, and this is 10 times more usable than...
It's got, I think, about 1,100 pounds more towing capacity than the Tacoma, even with the towing package.
Did you say 1,100?
11,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
1,100 wouldn't be worth the exchange, I don't think. Wow, this feels pretty rock steady at this speed.
Yeah.
This unknown
I think it's
speed.
more comfortable than the Tacoma, like we've already said.
Yeah, it's more comfortable. It's more capable. What the Tacoma has going for it is obviously that it's a smaller truck. So, depending on where you live, that could be helpful. And I think the other thing for the Tacoma, which again may or may not be something that's important to you, is just how cheap it's going to be long term and how much value it's going to hold.
Yeah.
Because this will plummet probably. I mean, maybe not. We'll see. The manual kind of could keep things steady for a while. And Cummins are popular. Like diesels are always going to be expensive because people love them.
Yeah.
There's a whole community. Not that there's not with the Taco, but it's just the Tacoma is very much. It's a truck for people who don't really need trucks.
Right.
And I think it works in that case for Josh. Once in a while he tows the MG or the Jeep or whatever it is that he's towing.
This truck has 113,000 miles on it. It doesn't feel like it.
Well,
it doesn't look like it. Like,
no. I mean, these diesels are the trucks that most people who buy them, they're either constantly on the road, they're always towing, they're always going somewhere. I mean, these trucks usually end up with 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 miles on them.
Yeah.
I think that the only issue with the modern diesel is just all the emission stuff that you have to tend to, like the DEF fluid and everything. Like, all that cost adds up. But as far as I know, I mean, these Cummins motors are still pretty stout. I mean, they last a long time if they're used properly. I have heard some people say that these really any diesel engine needs to be worked to stay healthy. So just driving it without putting any weight on it sometimes, like all the time, can I guess be not so ideal.
So the Ram has an insane spec sheet and comes at a similar cost to trucks with less than half of its capability. As you might expect, that capability comes at the high cost of modern diesel maintenance. Now, a vehicle like this will likely rack up many miles a year, so how does this truck take care of you on the inside?
So Tyler's driven me in this truck 2 or 3 times, and from the passenger seat, it's unbelievably comfortable.
Yeah.
The driver's seat, I think you find more imperfections, but it is still like a very comfortable vehicle. Like, you'd think something this big and bulky is kind of like a work truck. Like, I don't know, like, kind of it is what it is, and there's no comfort.
This particular spec isn't particularly luxurious. I mean, like I opened the door and I was like, okay, cloth seats, whatever. This is kind of soft touch and everything, but the seat itself is just over here. Like, I could eat up miles in the seat. This feels about as comfortable as, I don't know, like a couch cushion. I mean, it's not soft like that.
No.
But I just feel so supported. And
I also find it less egregious interior-wise than, like, the Tacoma. And maybe it's because it's a little more big, it's a little more spread out, like, it's easier to hyper-focus. Like, in the Tacoma, you kind of see everything out of your eyes. Like, you see, obviously that's how sight works, but like, you can see the entire dash.
Yeah.
Where here, it's like, you kind of get part of, like, the fake aluminum. And it's just a little more spread out and not, like, isolated.
Yeah, I mean, and if it was down, if it was between owning one or the other as far as like, maintenance costs, obviously I wouldn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Yep.
But for pure usability, I can't imagine at this point, now having experienced like the other end of the truck spectrum.
Yeah.
Because like, you think of trucks, you think of like F-150, like gas engine trucks that are like, okay, fine, or Tacomas are smaller.
Yeah.
This is like all of that on steroids. You have a big Cummins engine. It's huge. You get the mirrors that are already ready for towing.
Yeah.
I mean, 800 foot-pounds of torque.
It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of just fun. Like, it's weird. Like, this truck is just fun. Like,
Yeah.
it's not... It kind of sucks at everything, other than riding.
Yeah.
It rides really well. It's really weird to me that it's so much more comfortable than like, the Tacoma.
Yeah.
But, like, it's genuinely enjoyable. And I think the manual adds to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something so, I don't know, sort of charming about having a manual in this truck. I think, because before we were talking about it when we first got in it, we were like, it feels like we're in a big rig, you know?
Oh, it really does.
It feels like we're in a big Peterbilt, just cruising down the highway. I mean, we have that commanding view of everything, and I do kind of feel like, yeah, go ahead, get in my way.
Right. The brakes, very bad. Like, very bad. We do have the exhaust brake, which I think is probably the same thing as a Jake brake. We have that off.
Yeah. Oh dear.
I think Tyler keeps it in auto, and then when he's towing, he keeps it off or on. I forget. But I have it off. It's kind of like, it feels like regen braking if you've ever driven an electric car or a hybrid. It's just a little abrupt. But I know, you know what? So I know he likes it when he's driving because it saves the wear on his brakes.
Which I'm sure is quite a lot, given this is probably, 7,000 pounds or something like that, 8,000 pounds?
Yeah, this thing's a beast. Whew. And you gotta be careful because, you know, it'll wander. So you think the interior is cheap?
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's what I would expect out of a work truck.
Yeah, but you compared it to a certain price point.
I said I think it's a similar interior to that of a $30,000 crossover. $35,000, something like that.
I think it's nicer than that, but I just built a truck.
Okay.
And granted, it's not a manual because you can't get one.
Yeah.
But the Bighorn 2500 with the diesel is $65,000. It's not a $65,000 interior.
No.
But, like, maybe that's just a mental thing. Like, the S4 is a $60,000 interior.
Yeah.
Like, but there's trade-offs to make a truck, and you skimp on the interior. And I think that maybe it's more mental than anything.
Well, you're buying an engine, right? Like, you're buying an engine.
It's a $10,000 option.
Is it really?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. I think though it's worth 10 grand for the capability that you have.
Yeah.
I think what the interesting thing about this being $65,000, trucks are just so incredibly expensive, but I think what this can do, it probably makes up for the lackluster everything else.
Yeah.
Because really, like, if you want, you can't get towing capacity like this out of anything other than a diesel.
Right.
And I mean, who's to say whether this is better or worse than like a Duramax or a Power Stroke?
I think at the end of the day, they're all the same.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be as like split as a 3 Series or like a 342 and S4 to a C43.
I mean, it will be to truck guys,
right?
Because they're
all 4-wheel drive. They're all a diesel.
They all have nears makes no difference between 800 and 1,000 foot-pounds of torque.
Right.
You know.
But so I will say on the 2019, 2020 and newer, like the new gen Ram, that interior is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like Sync 4 in the newest gen F-150s.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Is incredible. Like, it looks so good.
Yeah.
So everything is better than this generation.
This generation was behind a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Like, when you look back at the previous gen Ram, I think everyone's thought was it's outdated, it's kind of clunky, it's cheap. The new Ram all of a sudden went leaps and bounds. Even, I think most people think it's better than the F-150 and Silverado interior.
Yeah, I do.
And I think this, but I don't know. I think driving this, I don't really care about the interior. What I find myself noticing is the power and the seats.
It is really comfortable. Like, it's. I feel like we're harping on the comfort, but it's weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird that it's so comfortable.
It is. because I don't associate trucks with comfort, but I guess maybe this is why. Maybe you're watching the epiphany here. Nick and I are realizing, oh, okay, I guess this is why people buy these.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if I could ever justify it for my use case.
No.
You know, like when I get in one of these, like right now, I'm like, I kind of have the same feeling you do, where it's like, I wouldn't mind borrowing this for a couple weeks.
Right.
And just taking it around. But with diesel at $6 something a gallon.
True.
I mean, if you're paying for that yourself,
Yeah.
20 miles a gallon or not. I mean, yes, the fuel economy in this is impressive, but that doesn't make it cheap.
Right.
Plus all the other stuff that you have to pay for with the diesel because of the emissions.
This generation of Ram had a pretty lackluster interior and came standard with crappy Stellantis, or FCA at the time, build quality. Especially given that this stickered at $55,000 to $60,000, you really are paying for the fabulous engine and the truck's exceptional capability. That said, the interior isn't bad, and the seats, though cheap looking, are likely some of the most comfortable seats we could imagine sitting in for a cross-country road trip. We may still think daily driving a truck this size is silly, but we are starting to see the appeal. So let's get down to it and try and answer the question, does it make sense to daily a truck? More specifically, does it make sense to daily this truck?
What do you think about this as a daily? Like, do you think can it be functional as a daily?
You know, I'm starting to think I'm not the right person to ask that, because I'm gonna daily a Cayman, and it's like, people can daily whatever they want.
Yeah.
Is like, I don't know that it's worth it, but if this is what you're into, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, Tyler likes trucks. Like, he's like, it's fun, and that's what he enjoys. So, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And if it got 12 miles a gallon, I'd be like, no.
Yeah, the 20 miles a gallon, I think, sort of saves it a little bit. And mostly because it's not like we're trying to shit all over the Tacoma. Because we do really like the Tacoma, like, for what it is.
But to me, okay, I think I know exactly where you're going with this, and it's exactly what my opinion is.
Okay.
Like, if you, like, the truck can't do what this truck can do.
Yeah.
So just get a freaking... Oh, sorry, you're taking a left. Brakes kind of suck, right?
Yeah, pretty bad.
They're sketchy at best.
This thing's kind of a bear to drive, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. A lot of torque.
A lot of torque.
Gotta get used to that.
Like, buy a car that gets 35 miles a gallon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not picking on Josh. Like, it's not like because it's his truck. It's how I felt before I even drove his Tacoma.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's made me understand more so, like, why you might daily something like this as opposed to a Tacoma.
I think if you need a truck that... It's like go big or go home, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know that I could agree with that more, like, when it comes to trucks now. Like, if you're going to do it, just freaking do it.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting a Maverick.
Right, because that's so much towards the other side of the spectrum that
that's like
it's not really a...
like micro truck almost.
Yeah, it's not... There's no sacrifice there, really. And I think that's what makes it a worthwhile purchase. Even, honestly, I'd say even a Ridgeline, because what's the difference between a Ridgeline and a Honda Pilot?
True.
Nothing.
Right, or a Santa Cruz.
Or a Santa Cruz, right. A Santa Cruz is a Hyundai Tucson.
Right. And it does depend, because, like, I feel like if you're buying a truck, like, you're buying a Tacoma because you want a truck. That's one thing. If you're buying a Santa Cruz because you want a truck, that's kind of falls into the same category of, like, why are you buying that then? But if you're buying a Santa Cruz because you wanted an SUV, but it's maybe a little more functional for the occasional, like...
Toss some stuff in the bed.
Or, like, you want mulch, but you don't want it inside your car kind of thing. Like, again, like, totally makes sense.
Yeah, we'll just say again, I mean, if this is your thing, we get it. It's not our thing.
Yeah. I think this is my conclusion. If you are on the fence and you think you need a truck, then just go all in.
Yeah.
Like,
Or go Maverick.
exactly.
Either go into the truck world or get the compromised truck that's still basically a car or SUV.
Exactly.
Because I feel like our problem with trucks is that they're so, people just don't use them. But then again, I mean, we also see all these people, and we had a conversation on the podcast, all these people who buy, sports cars, supercars, and never use them. So like,
That begs the question, are we hypocrites? Well, we both love supercars and hypercars, whose communities have even more of a not actually using problem, and we both own an unnecessary sports car. We certainly don't need a Miata, Cayman, or MGB. Quite frankly, Nick doesn't even need a 350 wheel horsepower Stage 1 Golf R. So maybe the answer is yes, but after this review, we get it. We'd still never buy a truck like this to daily, but at the end of the day, what's so different about dailying a truck and dailying an equally expensive sports sedan? Probably not as much as we thought. It just comes down to enjoying the ever-loving shit out of what you drive. This isn't our choice for a daily. For a tow rig, sure, but hey, if you love it, we support you. Judgmentally and from afar, but we support you. Thanks for watching.
So one interesting thing that Tyler texted me was, so this has, jeez, wow, a G56 Mercedes 6-speed manual.
oh, okay.
So if that means anything to anyone,
Yeah.